Okay, so we've looked at central symmetry and axial symmetry. And today we're going to be looking at translations and rotations. Okay, so a translation basically just means taking an object. This time we're not, so if we were doing axial symmetry, it'd be flipping it or doing this. If it was central, we'd be making it something like weird, flipping it and turning it upside down. In this, what we're going to be doing is taking an object and moving it a certain distance, or moving it up a certain distance like this. So when you're doing a translation, you're given this line that looks like this. We'll go to here. It'll have two letters and a little arrow. And it'll ask you for you're translating an object A, B with a little arrow on top. So that just means from A to B, this kind of distance. So let's pick an object. I always go with the letter F because it's the easiest. Okay. And again, as always with symmetries and transformation geometry, you always label your points. A, B, C, D, and E. Okay. So how do we know how far to go? Count the boxes. It's very, very simple. So we've got, I always do just a little extra line here if I can, so I know where to stop. So it's here where it could go to. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we're going to say 9 across. And how many up? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 up. Okay. So let's just do that for every single point that we have. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And we stop there. And we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's going to be our first point. Now make sure that you are very careful with looking where you actually put your points, because I think I've just made a mistake. It is from this point to the far point that I've marked, 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That is the correct distance across. But then it's 6 up to the top corner of this. And I've put it in the bottom corner. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It should actually be in the top corner of this. Just be careful with that. Okay, so that's going to be E dash. Now we just have to do that for every single one. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's to actually the exact point that E is at. And up 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Top corner, C dash. D goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And in the top right corner. This is D dash. A, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Top right corner, A dash. And finally B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This corner, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, top right corner. And now all you have to do, sorry, let's mark that as B dash. All you have to do is line up the lines like we always do, connecting the right lines to the right lines. And voila, you've got an F that has moved up 9 boxes across and 6 up. So you can actually see that this line is pretty much the same. If you take this, go over here, it's the same. So all you're doing with a translation is moving an object from one place to another. It'll give you a line like this, and you just have to measure across, measure up, and then do that for every point. Now moving on, we've got the last one, which is rotations. And rotations are sometimes the most, people find the most difficult of all the different translations and changing around of objects. So how do we look at them? We're going to need to use a few different skills in this. So rotations. Here we go. Okay, so say we have some object. I'm just going to make it a triangle called A, B, C. I have some point down here. I'll put it here, which we'll call P, the point P. And the question is, I want to rotate this object. So rotate this object 90 degrees through this point here. So how do we do that? So the first thing is, there's a few steps to this. Oh, well, also we need to think about what way are we doing it. And the way we're going to do this one is anti-clockwise. So you've got three things you're looking for. Where, what angle, and direction. So where, the point P, what angle, 90 degrees, direction, anti-clockwise. Okay? So those are the three things you're looking out for. So I always do the same thing. I take my ruler, I measure down to the point P here, and I do my dotted line. Okay, there's my dotted line for A. I do the same for B to the dotted line, and I do the same for C to the dotted line. So I always start off doing them all at once. You can do them separately if you want, whatever way suits you best, but I like drawing all my lines first. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this here, and we knew it's 90 degrees, so I'm going to put the center bit of the dot, line it up with my A dashed line here, find 90 degrees, and put it out here. Here's my little point here, okay? I'm going to do that for the other lines as well. This one is B, and the last one is C. There we go. Okay, so we've got A, B, and C all dotted out there. Now, obviously, they're not in the right distance or anything. So we need to make sure that we measure our distances to the line. So again, we measure up here. A goes 9 centimeters. We knew this was our point for for A. So we just measure through that point 9 centimeters. Do a little dashed line. And we get to here. And now I'm going to label this A dash. So let's go through that process again. We measure the distance from B to our point P, it's 5. Then we go to our B line here, our B dot, measure 5. And it's actually just before this little dot that we had, so we can just make that a little bit bigger. We call this B dash. And then finally we measure C. C goes 8 centimeters. We measure 8 away through that point over there. Put a little dot up there, call it C dash. And then all you have to do is put A to B, C to B, and A to C. And we've moved this through this point 90 degrees. Main thing to notice is, actually I should just write in here, 90 degrees, just so we know. The main thing I notice about this is the shape has not changed its size at all. So if you measure this here, it's just about 4 centimeters. I think they're all 4 centimeters if I drew it correctly. Yeah, 4 and 4. And if you measure over here, that is just over 4, 4, and just 4. So we've got our measurements all the same. All it has done is changed over. So now let's just do a big recap on all the different ones that we've had so far. So we've had axial symmetry, central symmetry, translation, rotation. So axial symmetry, we remember, is a line like this or a line like this, and the F becomes upside down or the F becomes flipped. So it's just flipping it. Central symmetry, we have a point that it has to go through and it gets flipped upside down and sideways. Translations, we have this funky looking line and we move the F from here up to here, that distance. And a rotation, we have a triangle, we have a point, we've got our kind of our angle of rotation, and it just ends up over here as a different triangle. Well, the same triangle, but just changed over. A nice way to represent, just before I forget, a nice way to represent our rotations, I should have done this at the start, is do a little curved line from our A's, our B's, and our C's. Just shows us where we've come from, okay? So basically that's all of our transformation geometry that we need to cover at the moment. My biggest tips are to be careful with your ruler and make sure you're thinking through everything. Take your time and always measure afterwards.